Good morning. It's time for Midweek Motivation Live. This is your host, Patrick Lee. We'll be back right after this. Good morning. I hope everyone is doing well today. Happy to be here live on multiple platforms. And Midweek Motivation Live is now broadcast on all major podcast platforms. Wherever you listen to your podcast, you can go in there and search for Midweek Motivation Live with Patrick Lee, and you will find that Apple Music, Spotify, Stitcher, most of the major podcasting platforms we are live on. Let me move this microphone back just a little bit. It's just in the way, but you can still hear me. Everyone can still hear me. All right. That's great. I love that. Want to talk to you a little bit today about a topic we have touched on in the past. But this one is about happiness in life and problem solving. And I have been called on a lot lately. It's late summer in the year 2022, middle of August, and it's a beautiful day outside. The sun is shining, the grass is green. We've had a couple of rainstorms in the Amarillo Panhandle area. Things are looking up as we enter back into the back to school season. People are settling in from summer back into a little bit of a fall attitude. And now that they have gotten most of the kids back in school, it's time to start looking at other things that have been set in front of them. Maybe it's problems in your life. Maybe we're going to talk about a little bit about relationships, how to solve problems, and how to have more happiness in life. It's one of the things that seems to be on topic a lot lately with a lot of people. Got a call from a friend last night who's been battling a lot of things. Had a car wreck. Is out looking for new employment. Battle some health in his body. I met with another friend yesterday having issues with construction projects, financial issues. Talked with multiple Christian friends of mine that are experiencing things in their life, in their family, people on my own team that are experiencing life. I've been sitting here texting with a dear friend about the loss of a loved one in their family and some of their real estate needs. So life is happening to all of us. And that's one of the comments I made in one of these messages. And they said, when people say, how are you doing? I always say on here, the choice is up to you. I choose to get up in the morning and tell myself I'm going to have a great day. And then I don't allow anyone else to change my mind. That's the reason I intend and seem to be very, very successful at staying happy. I don't allow someone else to change my mind, because you know what? You and I are responsible for our attitude, and we can change that attitude with our physiology. When things are not going our way, when we're unhappy with things, we've talked about this before. You can change your affirmation. You can stop, drop, and roll basically on that attitude and say, I am in control of my attitude. I'm in control of how I'm going to look at this, how I'm going to react to this, and how happy I choose to be or not be. People already tuning in. Good morning, Pete. Love to see you on here. People already tuning in for the show. We did have a recorded show for a couple of weeks due to some platform issues we were going through live on some platforms and not all the main platforms that I like to be live on. Facebook, of course, being one of them, due to some platform issues. But back live, people watching the show live around the world, we love to believe. And so yeah, I choose how my day is going to go. I choose how to react to many of the problems. And I've talked to you in the past about, chasing a rabbit there for just a second. When people have been asking me lately, hey, what's going on? How are you doing? I'll tell them if things are going not necessarily the way we want them to go. I just say, hey, man, we're experiencing life right now. How are you doing? And you know what? Experiencing life is a great way to be. Whether it's good or bad, the choice is yours. I'm experiencing life, and I choose to get as much out of my life experiences as possible. And I hope that you choose to do the same. That's my goal for all of you that watch the show. So there are a couple of things that we talk about to become more happy in life. And one of the best ways to become happier in life is through problem solving, creative problem solving. So many people they succumb to their problems, to the issues that have come up in their life, and they don't believe there's a way out of what they see happening to them. So we've discussed a few different tactics in the past, and I want to share a couple of those, but then touch on a couple of other things. Number one, of course, is in your confession. How are you doing? Well, I'm experiencing life right now. And anyone who's listening to that response can decipher that or read into it anything they want. Experiencing life could be good, could be bad, could be neutral, but it's up to the other person at that point to decide what that means. They're going to give it the meaning that they want it to give. So you can choose to say, hey, I'm doing great. I have friends that say I'm doing great and getting better all the time. That's a great one. Pete says, yeah, choose an attitude of gratitude. We've talked about that a lot lately, choosing an attitude of gratitude. So when we're battling things in our life, and I put on some epic battle music behind me. It's playing on the screen for this reason. Sometimes the things that we're going through in life seem like an epic battle or an ongoing struggle. And I was awakened from my sleep about 2 weeks ago at about 3 a.m. And I'd fallen asleep fairly early, got a couple hours of sleep, woke up 3 a.m. I laid in bed for about 30 or 40 minutes and determined at that point that I am not going back to sleep. I must have been awakened for a reason. Generally, I choose to believe, being a man of faith, if I'm awakened at 3:30 in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, it's for a reason. I generally get up fairly early, but I don't just automatically wake up that early. I choose to believe, and many of you that watch the show do, that if you're awakened at 3 or 3:30 in the morning, is for a reason. You have a problem, something on your mind, something weighing heavy on your heart. Maybe it's something that you need to tackle. And I've listened to a couple of other friends of mine who have gone through some of the same things. But I went up and I got up out of bed and I made myself a pot of coffee and went in the kitchen. First thing, of course, is like, if I'm going to be up, I might as well get up and be committed to this. So I got up and I went in the kitchen, made myself a pot of coffee. And while I was making a pot of coffee, I happened to notice a cabinet in my utility room right off the back of the kitchen. And this cabinet is really sort of a catch-all. It's a big white pantry style cabinet. You can buy them at the store and put them in your rooms. It's like a stand-up closet. And we use it for a couple of utility appliances, kitchen appliances, the KitchenAid mixer, things like that don't fit in our kitchen cabinets properly. And then it has also become a catch-all for multiple stacks of paper and books and things that we need to shove out of the way when company comes over and we go, hey, let's go put it in the cabinet. And I said, I need to clean that cabinet. It's just a thought, and it was an overcoming thought. I need to clean that cabinet. So I got my cup of coffee and I set it in the utility room and went out in the garage, and I got I'm just sharing a story with you. And I got this big trash can out of the garage and sat it next to that cabinet. And I started opening the doors and going through the stacks of things that were hidden in that cabinet, some of them sticking out through the doors. And of course, came back across a big stack of legal pads. You can never have too many legal pads around, and a couple of books. And on one of the previous shows, I've shared some tips out of that book, one of Mike Murdoch's books on problem solving. And that was a great show. But as I went through this cabinet, I came across things that I needed. It's like I was being guided and directed. So I believe that whenever you're woken up out of your sleep that early in the morning, there's a reason. There's something you need to think about. There's a problem or something that you need to overcome and get victory over that. Make a decision on that in your life. And I came across, number one, I came across that book on problem solving. I came across another great book a personal friend of mine wrote, with some great promises out of the Bible as well. The Bible gives us a step-by-step plan on success and how to achieve different things in life. And I sat there literally and for about an hour and a half, and I read both of these books. They're not long books, but they were great, very poignant books on things that I was going through at the time. And I choose to believe God woke me out of my sleep and said, I know what you're going through. I need you to go in the kitchen and make some coffee and go clean that cabinet. Okay, this sounds crazy to people that don't believe or don't have faith, but I believe that you call it the universe, I call it God. You can call it whatever you want, your spirit guide. I believe that's our Heavenly Father leading us and guiding us through His Spirit to help us come to make decisions, to have more happiness in life, to be more settled and peaceful. Thank you, Cody says, great shirt. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. This whole thing, I drug it out of the back of the closet. But yes. So I went through, read those books, and I started doing the things that I've told you for 3 years now. I've been doing this show, and I've come across a couple of different topics that have helped me well, and I've shared them on the show multiple times in the past. And after I had read these books and I sat down and thought for a while about what was going on, I got out the legal pad, and this is what I've shared with you to do for years and years. Get a piece of paper, write a line down the middle, write what the item is at the top of the page, and then go down the left and write down all of the blessings or the pros of that issue. And then on the right, write down the cons and start making a decision, weighing things out, write them down on paper. The best thing I can ever advise anyone to do when you're looking to find more peace and contentment in life, you need to identify what things are happening in your life that are causing that not to happen. What is it that's keeping you away from a more peaceful life? What is it that is awakening you from your sleep at 3 a.m. or causing you not to be able to go to sleep at all? I've talked to so many friends lately and business associates that say, man, I didn't sleep at all last night, right? That's the beginning to a bad song. I didn't sleep at all last night. And you start talking about what they're going through. And within a couple of minutes, if it's a lady, generally, here come the waterworks, right? An emotional event has happened. They're battling something in their life. And we all are. I've shared that with you. And you guys have shared it with me. We're all experiencing life. So I started writing down some of the problems in my life. I chose on this particular sheet to write down what my problems are that I can identify readily and easily. And then on the right side of the page, I wrote a topic at the top of that column that says, what is the opportunity in each of these problems? I've told you in the past that nothing is a mistake if you learn from it, right? So we all make mistakes, but if you learn from that mistake, it actually becomes a stepping stone to your future. It helps lead you and guide you to the next better step in your life, right? So what I have done in this is I wrote down problems that I'm experiencing, things that I think are, some are problems and some are just challenges that I have in my life. And it's kind of ironic that I listened to another friend this morning was sharing in their story how they have learned to start tackling problems and learning to identify them sooner in life. And I was like, hey, that's interesting, because we're on the same wavelength with where we're going with some of the things that we're posting. And then I have been listening to some other people for the last couple of weeks and the things that they're sharing, and they all seem to be following along in a pattern nationally, and some other speakers, that a lot of things that we speak about on our podcasts and different things, it seems like as life is happening to many of us, we all start thinking about, how can I help? How does this affect me? And how will it affect the people in my sphere of influence? And if your heart is that type, that's what you are led to do. You feel it in your spirit that, hey, maybe this is we're all feeling this and we all start talking about this because it's something that's affecting everyone. I'm fairly intuitive with some people, and yeah, I it just hits me, and things that we need to talk about. Earlier this year, it was Mental Health Awareness Month, and I wasn't aware of it till I was led to do a show on mental health. And as I was researching it, all of a sudden I was like, man, people are going through a bunch of stuff. And then I learned that this coming up month was Mental Health Month. I'm like, that's weird. It wasn't even something that I was that aware of, but my spirit told me I need to talk about this issue. So getting back, I mean, that's all part of the topic, right? But back on topic, I wrote these items down, things that I'm experiencing in my life, and maybe there are some of these same things you're experiencing in your life, but i'm I'm probably different than you. I don't believe any two of us are identical. If two of us were identical, one of us is irrelevant, and I don't believe anyone in this world is irrelevant, especially not you. So I have issues in my life, things that I think about, and I'll just rattle off a couple of these. A couple of these are a shifting in market trends. I work in real estate, so a recurring issue with us is the market shift. A lot of people are talking about the market shift in real estate. It's huge. In your line of work, it's probably huge as well. And market shift can be a killer to some people's businesses, to their line of work. A shift can take someone completely out of business. But the good news about that is whenever there's a market shift, I wrote on the right side of the page, the market shift is an opportunity for me to come up with a new business model, because I'm not going to allow a market shift to cancel me out any more than I'm going to allow it to cancel my friends out. What it does is it gives me a room to stretch my brain the way that I think about the issue, and I can tweak my business model to where I get out in front of the market shift. And then I learn to recognize it next time it starts happening. I was talking with a friend the other day about work and employment in the past and the different kinds of things that we have done. And I found out as I was talking with this, and it was actually a new friend as I was talking with this fellow, that we have both experienced many of the exact same instances in our life. And I was like, this is uncanny that you have been in the same line of employment. You've done the same kind of jobs. We've experienced the same kind of body change, physiology change from when we were younger to when we were older, the years that these things happened. And it was really odd that we had so many similarities, and we had both learned how to overcome so many different events in our life by changing the way that we looked at things and how we got out in front of them. And one of the things that I had shared with this person was the ability that I have been given to see into the future with multiple employers in the past. Of course, now I'm self-employed and have been for well over 10 years. And I am 100% responsible for my income. And right now, I wouldn't have it any other way. But there are many years, of course, just like you, that I worked for other people. And I would always be able to see into the future, and I would get a notion when that company was fixing to go through a major breakup, a shakeup, a problem. And if it was going to affect the position that I was in, I was always led into a new position or away from that company before that happened. And I've always had something else lined up. And many friends have mentioned in the past, how do you do that? And I chalk it up to, of course, intuition and being led by God, who is my senior partner. And if something is going to negatively impact my family, he leads me away from that and protects me from it in advance because I put my trust in him. These are the same things that I do in my life that I'm sharing with you right now. I start learning, where did the problem? I'm going to start sharing some of these with you, the ways that I go through these things. Number one, I start looking for where the problem comes from, and is it a repeated event? Because one thing we don't know about people is heart motive. If it's your boss, if it's your partner, your significant other, it's impossible to know heart motive. You can have a pretty good idea, maybe, a pretty good idea of where you think someone's coming from if you have life experience with them, but you will never truly understand 100% of their heart motive. The only thing we have, therefore, to work on is track record. How have they acted in the past? How have they treated me in the past? How have they reacted to problems that have arisen in the past? Do they automatically become blaming? Do they start to point the finger? Because that's actually the last thing you need to look for in a problem once you've learned how to get past it, is to go back and identify where the problem came from. Who was responsible? If it's a who, and it usually is, when you're fixing to be blessed, someone comes into your life to help make that happen. When you're fixing to be cursed or troubled, someone comes into your life who is going to be instrumental in making that happen. So learning to identify where does the problem come from and is it a repeated event is something you do in the beginning. But once you've come through and overcome it, then you come back and say, who is the person who was most responsible for this coming and happening into my life? And if we can identify that, we can eliminate that, right? Then the next thing we say is, what can I learn from what happened to me? If I can identify it now and I can head it off, and I just threw my pen across the room as I flipped it off of my edge of my desk. That was awesome. It's like a Johnny Carson or a David Letterman moment. I love it. It happens to the best of all of us. I start asking myself, what can I learn from? And like I said before, nothing is a mistake if you learn from it. It's a growing opportunity. What can I learn from what is happening in my life? If I can identify it now, I can head it off in the future, and I will already know how to overcome it. We all have a tool bag, right? A toolkit. And that toolkit includes many things. For some of us, it includes sarcasm. It includes wit and humor. Some of us, it includes an uncanny foresight of how to see things as they really are. Many of us have a glossed over, donut glazed vision of life, and everything is going to be okay and everything is going to be smooth and sweet. Well, it's not. The harsh reality of that is things happen to all of us, good people or bad people. And we have to learn how to find out what tool in our tool bag we can use to eliminate the problem. If it's something small that we can just kick out of the way, your foot can eliminate it, right? If it's something that's ingrained in your life, maybe it's something that you need to go encounter or enlist the help of your top 5, the people in your life that you know, love, and trust, that know, love, and trust you, and you can confide in them, and you have to put your heads together to come up with the problem. Your top 5 is a tool. Use it wisely. Use your top 5. Those people are in your life for a reason. Okay? Enough said about that. Next, I'm going to give you the 3 things that will really help change your life when it comes to problem solving. Number 1, like I said before, make a decision about the problem. Whatever the issue is in your life, one of the worst things that you can do, and you will understand that this affects you, it affects your mind, your mentality, it affects your physiology, mainly how you react, how you carry yourself. Do you carry yourself with confidence? Do you carry yourself with a drive, with a fervor that you're moving forward? When you become overwhelmed with issues in your life, you will see that your physiology automatically changes. Many of you watching the show now, and other friends that I have, it's some people say, "Hey, what's going on? You don't look happy." That's the most base model of what I'm talking about. But if you have learned anything about some of your friends, people in your sphere of influence, you can kind of tell when they're unhappy. Okay, that's pretty simple for most people. I believe most people are intuitive enough to figure that out and say, "Hey, what's going on? You don't look happy. Something's going on, and I can tell." Now, they may look happy, and you can feel in your spirit they're not, and that's even a little deeper level. You can tell, like I'm talking about now, by the person's physiology, there could be a very slight hump in their shoulders, a very slight slowdown in their speech, in their walking patterns. They may hesitate before they answer. And Sometimes it's just a very slight distant look. Some people are much more animated with their lifestyle, with their body, their posture, their attitudes, and they're very free and open, and they'll just automatically tell you. It's obvious. You can tell when someone's unhappy. But the worst thing that can happen when these things happen to us, or we experience these, is that we don't make a decision about it, because uncertainty is the number one reason most problems don't get solved. If you're in a relationship and it starts to go south, you don't know what's wrong, but you're afraid to ask because you don't want to start a fight, which leads to a long period of non-communication. You didn't make a decision about the problem. When your finances start waning and you don't know what you're going to do about it, you should probably go talk to a lender. You may need to go get a personal loan. You may need to talk to a friend. You may need to ask your boss for a raise. And you have all of these thoughts that start weighing you down because you need more money. You don't know how to go ask for more money. You don't know what to do to go look for more money or make more money. So you don't decide, and not deciding is deciding. You have decided not to act. You've decided to let life happen to you instead of you happening to life. That changes your physiology. You don't sleep well. You're tired. The circles under your eyes, the lack of energy, it weighs you down. So the best thing you can do is make a decision about the problem, right or wrong. Make a decision, because once you've made a decision, that's going to lead us to number 2, leverage the problem to grow from it. Get out in front of it. When this thing comes up, how do we get out in front of it? How do we do that? How do we leverage the problem to grow from that problem? If it is a relationship, can we turn around and make a decision that I'm going to talk to the person in the relationship? And when we do that, we discuss the issues, the things that are going on in the relationship. And if we can fix that, the relationship becomes 10 times stronger than it was before. Why? Because you recognize there was a problem and you talked it out. Sometimes you need to talk it out. Sometimes you need to hug it out and cry it out. But whatever it is, leverage the problem. This is the issue, and we don't want it to be the issue, so we're going to grow from it. We're going to leverage that and always use that in the beginning. We'll learn to recognize it. That's what it means to get out in front of it. Learn to start recognizing it before it happens again. When it starts rearing its ugly head, learn to recognize that and say, hey, we're not going down that road again, because we are closer now than we were before. If it's your finances, if it's your health, learn to recognize the patterns you start to slip in that are going to affect your health. Okay? I hope this is helping you guys. I really do. These are a lot of life lessons I've had to learn, and they work for me, and they're proven by a lot of other professionals. I don't just make these up. Okay? So leverage the problem to grow from it and get out in front of it. Then number 2, the second half of number 2, build yourself up with unshakable confidence that you have made the right decision. Good or bad, make a decision and then continue to tell yourself up, build yourself up that you've made the right decision. You're going to know in the future if it was right or wrong, but you will not follow that decision if you do not have unshakable confidence, belief, and faith that you have made the right decision and you're going in the right direction. Okay? Vision plus belief minus doubt equals a miracle in your life. Dr. Morocco, King's Chapel in Hawaii. That's a quote I've just learned last night from him. Vision plus belief minus doubt will equal a miracle in your life. If you're working towards a goal and you believe in it, if you've made a decision and you believe in it and you do not doubt, if you eliminate doubt from the equation, you can have a breakthrough. You can have a miracle in your life. Build yourself up with unshakable confidence that the decision you have made is the right decision. Then number 3, take massive action towards solving the problem. If it's your finances, go talk to your banker. If it's your finances, go talk to your boss. How do I make more money? Realizing that money is a tool. Money doesn't make you happy, but money does solve some problems for some people. And if that happens to be the issue, take massive action towards solving that problem. Learn how to increase your income or learn how to reduce your outgo. A lot of things we live with in life, we think we need that we do not. If it's health in your body, learn how to take massive action towards solving the problem with your health. Is it the gym? Is it your diet? Is it, simply that? Is it a bad habit that you have that's affecting your health? Eliminate those things from your life. Learn to recognize the patterns. Take massive action towards solving the problems in your life and watch yourself become happier. Readers are leaders. I think many of you that watch the show know I say that a lot. Readers are leaders. And many of the things, if not all of the things that we talk about on the show, you can find in a book. And if you would start reading more books about this, and you can read paper books. I read a lot of paper books. I have stacks of them here on my shelf. My daughter's here in the office, and she actually works for me now. And part of her work assignments are to read books and come back to me with a book report on it. She's like, I've been out of college for years, Dad. Why do you make me do book reports? Because I want to make sure that they're getting the nuggets out of the book that are going to help change their life, just like they have changed mine. I listen to a lot of books on Audible as well when I travel, especially if I'm on a flight. I put in my earphones, my earbuds, and I listen to books on Audible. When I'm driving around, I listen to podcasts and books as well, and have found that those help build up my mind to learn all of these concepts that I bring to you. So number one, make a decision about whatever the problem is in your life. Number two, leverage the problem to grow from it, get out in front of it, build yourself up with unshakable confidence that you've made the right decision about it, and then take massive action towards solving the problem. Part of that comes down to this: assemble a support team that believes in the dream. This is a previous note that I left in here from a past show. Assemble a support team that believes in the dream. If you're having these things in life, get together with your top 5, those people that you can trust to talk about with some of these issues, because I guarantee you someone in your group, your sphere of influence, has gone through the same thing and can help you. They're a better resource than you probably know, but you probably do know that, or they wouldn't be in your top 5 already, right? Realize that you are responsible for maintaining your own level of enthusiasm, and that includes your physiology. How are you going to carry yourself when you're experiencing life? You want to become more happy, you need to notify your face. You need to notify your body. You need to act happy. You need to speak happy. You need to live with joy, whether you feel like it or not, because your feelings only tell you one thing, and that's how you feel. But how you act has nothing to do with how you feel. You are in charge of that. Realize that you are responsible for maintaining your physiology, your level of joy and happiness. The best way to do that is to take massive action on decision making in your life. Bonus tip for this week comes from a long time ago. Whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. Famous quote, been around nearly 100 years. Everybody, this has been Patrick Lee with Midweek Motivation Live. I hope the show has helped to change your life this week. If so, share the show, like, love, and share. If you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to smash the bell, click the bell below this, subscribe to the channel, share the show as well on there. And man, I just appreciate it more than you know. I love all of you. Can't thank you enough for coming back to watch the show. Appreciate each and every one of you as well. Until next week, your only call to action is this: get your piece of paper, write down your problems, advantages and disadvantages, and what action steps you're going to take on each and every one. That's your homework. I expect a good report from you. Until next time, this has been Patrick Lee with Midweek Motivation Live. Bye-bye.